Hi guys, today we are going to find out what if parallel universes were real. You're sitting in your favorite coffee shop scrolling through your phone when a breaking news alert changes everything. Scientists at CERN have just announced the impossible. Definitive proof that parallel universes exist. The headline makes your coffee taste suddenly bitter as reality shifts beneath your feet. Within hours, the world erupts into chaos as people grapple with the implications. Religious leaders scramble to reinterpret scriptures, while philosophers debate the meaning of existence itself. You probably won't survive this revelation with your sanity intact, but let's explore it anyway. Stock markets crash as investors realize their decisions might be meaningless across infinite realities. Social media explodes with theories, memes, and existential breakdowns happening in real time. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'm curious where you are in this reality. Now sit back and let's dive into today's alternate journey together. The scientific explanation unfolds like a cosmic revelation that rewrites everything you thought you knew. Every decision you've ever made splits reality into branches, creating infinite parallel worlds where different choices played out. When you chose coffee over tea this morning, somewhere another version of you chose tea. These aren't just theoretical possibilities anymore. They're actual realities existing simultaneously alongside your own. The multiverse operates on quantum mechanics principles, where every possible outcome of every event actually occurs. You discover that consciousness somehow jumps between these realities, though most people never notice the subtle shifts. Scientists explain how quantum particles exist in multiple states until observed, and reality works similarly. Your parallel selves are living completely different lives based on alternative decisions and random events. The woman who became a doctor in one reality might be a struggling artist in another. Even cosmic events branch. Asteroids that missed Earth here might have struck in parallel worlds. The mathematics behind it makes your head spin, involving infinite dimensions and probability waves. Researchers estimate there are more parallel universes than atoms in our observable cosmos. The first glimpse into a parallel world happens through a prototype interdimensional viewing device that looks surprisingly mundane. You peer through what resembles a sophisticated telescope crossed with a vintage television set. The screen flickers to life, revealing a version of yourself sitting in the same room. But this other you chose a completely different career path 15 years ago. Instead of your current job, this parallel self became a marine biologist studying coral reefs. You watch in fascination as this alternate version examines colorful specimens in an underwater laboratory. Their confidence underwater contrasts sharply with your fear of deep water in this reality. The parallel you has calloused hands from diving equipment and sun-weathered skin from tropical fieldwork. You notice they're wearing a wedding ring, married to someone you've never met in your reality. Their apartment walls display underwater photography awards and marine conservation certificates instead of your office decorations. The viewing device allows you to hear fragments of their conversation with colleagues about protecting endangered sea life. This other version of you radiates purpose and passion that feels both foreign and achingly familiar. The butterfly effect becomes terrifyingly real as you witness how microscopic changes create vastly different worlds. In one parallel universe, a single vote changed an election outcome, preventing a major war entirely. That world developed renewable energy decades earlier, leading to floating cities powered by ocean currents. Another reality shows what happened when a scientist's coffee spill destroyed crucial research notes. Without that breakthrough, their civilization never developed space travel, remaining earthbound while others colonized Mars. You observe a world where the Library of Alexandria never burned, preserving ancient knowledge. Their medical advances cured diseases centuries before your reality even identified them. In another branch, a single storm changed course, sparing a coastal city from destruction. That saved metropolis became the world's technological capital, inventing artificial intelligence 50 years ahead of schedule. You see realities where famous historical figures died young or lived much longer. A world where Einstein lived to 100 produced theories that unlock dimensional travel. These tiny differences cascade through time like dominoes, creating unrecognizable civilizations from familiar starting points. Meeting your alternate selves becomes an identity crisis wrapped in existential wonder. You encounter a version who never moved away from your hometown, still living with your childhood best friend. This other, you radiates contentment despite earning half your current salary as a local bookstore owner. Their laugh sounds identical to yours, but they use it more frequently and with genuine joy. Another parallel self became a world-renowned chef after taking that cooking class you abandoned. They speak 3 languages fluently and travel constantly, tasting exotic cuisines across 6 continents. You meet the version who stayed married to your college sweetheart instead of pursuing career ambitions. They have 4 children and seem exhausted, but deeply fulfilled in ways your reality cannot comprehend. There's the parallel you who took extreme risks, becoming a war correspondent in dangerous territories. Their stories captivate millions, but you notice the haunted look behind their confident exterior. One alternate self pursued your childhood dream of becoming an astronaut through relentless dedication. They're currently orbiting Earth on a space station, conducting experiments you can barely understand. Parallel Earth reveals evolutionary paths that challenge everything you thought you knew about life itself. You discover a world where the asteroid never struck 65 million years ago, allowing dinosaurs to continue evolving. Intelligent velociraptors developed opposable thumbs and built sophisticated cities carved into massive tree trunks. Their technology relies on biological engineering rather than metals, using modified plant organisms as living computers. Another reality shows humans who evolved from different primate ancestors, developing enhanced night vision and echolocation abilities. These bat-like humans navigate their world through sound, creating hauntingly beautiful sonic languages. You witness an Earth where octopi became the dominant intelligent species after leaving the oceans. Their 8-limbed civilization excels at multitasking, simultaneously managing complex mathematical calculations while creating intricate art forms. In one parallel world, massive fungi networks achieved consciousness, connecting entire continents through underground communication webs. These fungal minds think in geological timescales, making decisions that span thousands of years. You observe a reality where evolution favored cooperation over competition from the beginning. Every species works together in perfect harmony, creating a planetary paradise without predators or conflict. Historical turning points reveal how single moments reshape entire civilizations across parallel dimensions. You witness a reality where World War II ended differently when a crucial intelligence report arrived 3 hours early. The early warning prevented Pearl Harbor, leading America to join the war through diplomatic channels instead. This timeline developed international cooperation decades ahead, establishing a global peacekeeping force by 1950. Another parallel shows what happened when the Roman Empire never fell, continuing to evolve for 2,000 years. Their advanced engineering created steam-powered transportation networks spanning 3 continents by medieval times. You observe a world where the Black Death never reached Europe, allowing the Renaissance to begin centuries earlier. Without population devastation, scientific advancement accelerated dramatically, reaching space exploration by the year 1600. In one reality, the Library of Congress fire of 1851 was prevented by a sudden rainstorm. The preserved knowledge accelerated American innovation, leading to electric cities 50 years before Edison. You discover timelines where key assassinations failed, allowing visionary leaders to implement transformative policies. These worlds achieved racial equality, gender parity, and environmental protection generations ahead of your reality. Scientific breakthroughs in parallel worlds demonstrate how different discoveries reshape technological civilization entirely. You explore a reality where Tesla's wireless power transmission succeeded, creating a world without power lines. Every device draws energy from the atmosphere, making fossil fuels obsolete by 1920. Cities float on magnetic fields, their buildings defying gravity through electromagnetic manipulation. Another timeline shows what happened when Marie Curie lived 30 years longer, advancing radiation research. Her extended work led to clean nuclear fusion by 1950, powering flying cars and underwater cities. You witness a world where Darwin discovered genetics alongside evolution, accelerating biological understanding. This knowledge enabled controlled evolution, allowing humans to adapt to any environment within decades. In one reality, ancient Greek steam engines weren't dismissed as toys but developed into industrial revolution. Their early mechanization led to Roman space colonies and Mediterranean trade routes, spanning solar systems. You observe timelines where different mathematical concepts emerged first, creating alternative physics entirely. These worlds developed teleportation technology based on folding space rather than traditional propulsion methods. Love and relationships across dimensions reveal how different choices create entirely altered emotional landscapes. You discover a parallel self who married your high school crush instead of letting fear prevent that first conversation. Their marriage spans 25 years of adventure, traveling the world together as documentary filmmakers. You watch them laugh at inside jokes developed over decades of shared experiences you never had. Another reality shows the version of you who stayed single by choice, dedicating life to meaningful friendships. This alternate self hosts weekly dinner parties, creating a chosen family of artists, writers, and philosophers. You observe a timeline where your parents never divorced, providing the stable foundation you always craved. That version grew up confident and trusting, forming deeper connections with everyone they encounter. In one world, you reconnected with a childhood friend who moved away, leading to an unexpected romance. Their relationship blooms from shared memories and parallel growth, creating perfect understanding between souls. You witness realities where lost loved ones never died, continuing to shape your alternate self's journey. These preserved relationships create wisdom and emotional depth that your reality's grief couldn't provide. Natural disasters that never happened reveal dramatically different geographical and cultural landscapes across parallel worlds. You explore a reality where the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami was prevented by an underwater earthquake that redirected the waves. Coastal communities that vanished in your timeline continue thriving, preserving ancient fishing traditions and cultural knowledge. Their untouched beaches became centers of marine research, unlocking secrets about ocean conservation decades earlier. Another parallel shows what happened when Hurricane Katrina missed New Orleans due to a last-minute wind shift. The preserved city became America's jazz capital, fostering musical innovation that influenced global culture profoundly. You witness a world where the 1906 San Francisco earthquake never occurred, allowing Victorian architecture to flourish. That timeline's San Francisco resembles a steampunk paradise, with ornate buildings housing cutting-edge technology companies. In one reality, Mount Vesuvius never erupted in 79 AD, preserving Pompeii as a thriving Roman metropolis. This ancient city evolved continuously, becoming a unique blend of classical architecture and modern Mediterranean culture. You observe timelines where major volcanic winters were avoided, preventing agricultural collapses and preserving civilizations. These worlds developed sustainable farming techniques centuries earlier, feeding larger populations without environmental destruction. The dark parallel worlds expose disturbing realities where humanity took sinister, evolutionary, or societal paths. You discover a timeline where empathy never developed in human psychology, creating a species of pure predators. Their society operates on brutal efficiency, with emotional connections viewed as dangerous weaknesses to eliminate. Cities resemble prison complexes where survival depends entirely on individual cunning and ruthless competition. Another reality shows what happened when fear became humanity's dominant evolutionary trait instead of curiosity. These humans never left their caves, developing elaborate underground civilizations built around avoiding all risks. You witness a world where technological advancement occurred without ethical development or moral constraints. Their impressive inventions serve only destruction and control, creating weapons that make nuclear bombs seem primitive. In one parallel, humanity evolved without the capacity for abstract thinking, remaining permanently tribal. Endless wars rage between groups over resources, with no concept of cooperation beyond immediate family units. You observe timelines where plague or famine eliminated human compassion through generations of survival trauma. These hardened societies show no mercy, viewing kindness as a luxury that threatens group survival. Infinite possibilities mean there are versions of yourself living every conceivable life outcome across the multiverse. You encounter the version who became a famous musician, selling out stadiums with songs you hummed privately. Their calloused fingertips tell stories of countless hours practicing melodies you never had courage to share. Another parallel self became the teacher you considered being, inspiring thousands of students across 4 decades. You witnessed the version who took that job overseas, becoming fluent in 3 languages while building schools. There's the parallel you who started that business idea, now employing hundreds in your hometown community. You observe the self who pursued extreme sports, conquering mountains and oceans with fearless determination. One version dedicated their life to scientific research, discovering cures for diseases you've never heard of. You meet the parallel self who became a parent at 18, raising 5 children with patient wisdom. Another version joined the military, serving with honor in conflicts that shaped international diplomacy. There's even a reality where you became famous for something completely unexpected and wonderfully absurd. Every dream deferred, every path not taken, every what if exists somewhere as someone's lived reality. Communication across dimensional divides becomes humanity's greatest technological and philosophical challenge. Scientists develop quantum entanglement communicators that transmit messages between parallel universes at light speed. Your first contact with an alternate self feels like talking to a stranger wearing your voice. They describe events from your shared childhood but with completely different emotional interpretations and outcomes. You exchange knowledge about scientific breakthroughs, sharing discoveries that could benefit both realities. Your parallel self warns about a natural disaster that hasn't happened in your timeline yet. Communication protocols emerge as different versions of humanity establish interdimensional diplomatic relationships. Some parallels refuse contact entirely, viewing dimensional awareness as dangerous mental contamination. You participate in the first interdimensional conference, where 12 versions of yourself debate global policies. The philosophical implications become overwhelming as you realize consciousness might be shared across all realities. Language barriers emerge when parallel selves developed different vocabularies for experiences unique to their worlds. These conversations force humanity to redefine concepts of identity, free will, and individual responsibility. The temptation to interfere with your own reality using parallel knowledge becomes an ethical minefield. You possess information about stock market crashes, natural disasters, and personal tragedies before they occur. The weight of preventable suffering presses against your conscience like a physical burden. You contemplate warning your best friend about their upcoming car accident that happens next Tuesday. But changing one event might trigger unpredictable consequences, potentially creating worse outcomes than the original timeline. Scientists debate whether interference constitutes playing God or fulfilling moral responsibility to reduce suffering. Some parallel selves report catastrophic results from well-intentioned interventions that backfired spectacularly. You discover that every prevented disaster seemingly gets replaced by different, sometimes more severe problems. The butterfly effect amplifies across realities, making it impossible to predict intervention consequences accurately. Government agencies form to monitor and potentially restrict access to parallel universe information. Underground networks emerge, sharing dimensional intelligence despite official prohibitions and moral controversies. You face the agonizing choice between maintaining timeline integrity and saving lives you have power to protect. Consequences of dimensional awareness begin fundamentally altering your decision-making process in unexpected ways. Every choice now carries the weight of knowing infinite alternatives exist where you chose differently. You find yourself paralyzed at simple decisions, wondering which parallel self made the optimal choice. Ordering coffee becomes an existential crisis as you contemplate the ramifications of cappuccino versus espresso. Career decisions feel meaningless when you've witnessed versions of yourself succeeding in every possible profession. Relationships suffer as you compare your partner to the loves your parallel selves discovered. The knowledge that somewhere you're living your perfect life makes your current reality feel inadequate. You develop decision fatigue from constantly second-guessing choices that seemed straightforward before dimensional awareness. Sleep becomes elusive as your mind races through endless scenarios of roads not taken. Friends notice your increasing indecisiveness and tendency to analyze every minor choice exhaustively. Therapy sessions focus on learning to accept your singular path despite knowing infinite alternatives. You struggle with the philosophical question of whether free will exists if all choices happen somewhere. The ethical dilemma of revealing parallel universe knowledge to humanity at large becomes society's defining challenge. You join a secret council tasked with determining whether dimensional awareness should remain classified or become public. Arguments rage about humanity's psychological readiness for infinite reality confirmation after centuries of singular worldview. Religious leaders fear their congregations will lose faith upon learning their beliefs exist in countless contradictory variations. Mental health professionals warn about mass existential breakdowns if people discover their choices are ultimately meaningless. Economists predict global market collapse as investors realize their decisions have no unique consequences. You witness leaked information causing localized panic attacks and philosophical crisis among small test groups. Some argue that dimensional knowledge represents humanity's next evolutionary leap toward cosmic consciousness. Others contend that ignorance protects human sanity and social cohesion from unbearable infinite awareness. The Council votes on releasing information gradually through carefully controlled scientific publications and educational programs. You realize this decision will fundamentally reshape human civilization regardless of the chosen approach. The weight of determining humanity's future relationship with reality keeps you awake for days. Living with infinite regret becomes the most profound psychological burden of dimensional awareness. You're haunted by versions of yourself who made better choices at every crucial life junction. The parallel self who said yes to that job interview is now leading a Fortune 500 company. Another version who overcame social anxiety is surrounded by lifelong friends and deep, meaningful relationships. You obsess over the self who took that creative writing class and became a best-selling novelist. Every morning brings fresh reminders of opportunities missed and paths not taken across infinite realities. The parallel you who called your grandmother more often got to say goodbye before she passed away. Support groups form for people struggling with dimensional depression caused by comparing lives across realities. Therapists develop new techniques for helping patients accept their singular existence despite infinite alternatives. You learn that even your most successful parallel selves experience regret about different choices they didn't make. The realization emerges that regret is universal across all realities, making it paradoxically meaningless and deeply human. You begin understanding that infinite possibilities also mean infinite versions of yourself are equally envious of your choices. Finding peace in possibility becomes the ultimate lesson of parallel universe awareness. You gradually learn to view your reality not as one failed attempt among infinite successes, but as equally valid. The meditation practices focus on accepting your singular path while appreciating the beauty of unlimited potential. You realize that knowing about parallel selves doesn't diminish your achievements or invalidate your struggles. Each version of yourself faces unique challenges that seem insurmountable from their individual perspectives. The parallel you who became wealthy struggles with loneliness that your modest but love-filled life avoids. Your successful musician self battles creative burnout while you maintain passionate amateur enjoyment of music. You discover that happiness isn't determined by which path you chose, but how fully you embrace the chosen journey. The infinite multiverse means every possible story gets told, every dream gets lived, every love gets experienced. You begin celebrating your parallel selves' successes as extended family victories rather than personal failures. Peace comes from understanding that you're simultaneously the protagonist of your story and supporting character in infinite others. The final revelation arrives. Parallel universes don't make your choices meaningless. They make every choice magnificently meaningful. As you drift towards sleep tonight, remember that somewhere across the infinite expanse of parallel realities, other versions of yourself are just beginning their day. They carry different burdens, celebrate different victories, and face entirely unique challenges that would seem foreign to your experience. Yet they share your consciousness, your fundamental essence, your capacity for growth, love, fear, and wonder. The multiverse isn't a cosmic joke designed to highlight your failures. It's the universe's way of ensuring every story gets told. Every path you didn't take becomes someone else's journey. Every dream you abandoned becomes another's triumph. In accepting parallel universes, you've learned perhaps the most profound lesson of existence: that you are simultaneously unique and universal. Your choices matter not because they're the only ones possible, but because they're the ones you made with the consciousness you possess. Sleep peacefully knowing that infinite versions of yourself are living infinite lives, but only one gets to be you in this reality. The question I leave you with tonight is this: if you knew that every possible version of your life existed somewhere in the multiverse, would you live this one any differently?